This is WCBS-TV Channel 2 New York, and now live from the heart of the Tri-State, from our Fifth Avenue studios in Manhattan, Cindy Chu and Lisa Hill and I are Jordan Fisher, and this is CBS 2 News at Noon Report. And good afternoon, everybody. On this Wednesday, June 20th, 2001, I'm Cindy Chu alongside Lisa Hill, and here's what's happening on the CBS 2 News at noon. Our top story at noon is the New York City fire investigators believe that one of the deadliest fires in the fire department's history can be traced to a purely accidental cause of two teenage boys. Ref has it on Father's Day knocked over a can of gasoline in the backyard of a hardware store in Queens. Investigators say it appears that the accident set off a quick awful chain of events that ended in disaster. The gasoline slid under the hardware store's back door, ran into a small river into the basement, and ignited near a water heater, officials said. In the moments after Ken's store and another paints and lacquers opening, heating, and gathering fumes set the stage for an enormous explosion that left 3 firefighters dead in the ruins of the store.
Good afternoon, everyone.
The fire also sent the two boys into hiding their secret safe until, after 6 hours of questioning Monday night, they told fire marshals the full story, investigators said. Still, the circumstances outlined by the authorities yesterday added another layer of sorrow to the aftermath of the blaze that has already shaken the fire department to its core. It left the families of the dead firefighters, some of them whom are already holding viewing services, absorb more sad details of how a routine fire call went terribly wrong. It left the boys, ages 13 and 15, to fight with the consequences of the actions, and it left law enforcement with serious questions about whether to charge the boys. So far, officials with the Queens District Attorney's Office and the Fire Marshal's Office said evidence collected by investigators seemed to bolster the account of the two boys. At its point in the investigation, we have no evidence that contradicts our story, said Luis Garcia, the chief fire marshal who assigned 30 fire marshals to the investigation. Fire officials also said that investigators had recovered both the water heater suspected of igniting the blaze and the back door of the hardware store. The two items bore burn marks, but it would corroborate the burglary story. Mary D. Bourbon, a spokesman for the district attorney Richard A. Brown, said it was unclear whether the boys would be charged. The investigation remains ongoing, and Mrs. DeBourne said no final conclusion can be reached until the fire marshals and police contemplate their work, and we have an opportunity to review the findings. According to authorities, the boys said they were playing in the backyard of the... And this is a firefighter leaving a wake of Brian Fahey yesterday, one of 3 firefighters killed in Sunday's blaze. And the exasperated judge appointed a law guardian yesterday to give the 2 children of Mayor Rudolph W. Giuliani and Donna Hanover a voice to the couple's increasingly rancorous and protracted divorce. Louis Young has reported. I need to move the case forward in some way. The acting Justice Joseph J. Gissy of State Supreme Court in Lower Manhattan appeared impatient fat on a contentious hearing attended by 5 lawyers, but not the couple themselves.
We are going to be at the beaches this afternoon. You'll notice that gusty breeze.
Justice Gish named Joanne Douglas a lawyer for the children of the highly contested divorce to represent the interests of under Giuliani 15 and sister Caroline 11. Although law guardians are coming when divorcing parents cannot agree on what is best for the children, the appointment was embarrassment for the elected official who, for the past 7 years, has promoted personal responsibility and self-discipline to often unruly New Yorkers. Mr. Giuliani had no public comment on the law guardian who will help the judge make decisions for his children, chiefly when and how Andrew and Caroline should meet Judith Nathan and Mr. Giuliani's friend but married divorce lawyer. While Al Felder said Mr. Giuliani was disappointed by the decision, he said he can't understand why people who are responsible just can't sit down and work out the problems. Mr. Felder said at the Commerce News conference at the foot of the courthouse steps. Later today, the appellate division of the State Supreme Court has initiated a 1-page decision that supported an earlier order by Justice Gisbar and Mrs. Nathan from Gracie Mansion, but the court would ruled only a narrow motion from Mrs. Giuliani's lawyers requesting a temporary stay of Justice Gisbar's order, said that Mr. Giuliani could move forward if he wished with an expedited appeal. Mr. Felder proclaimed a victory on a real in which cause after a busy, angry morning in Manhattan's matrimonial court. The mayor's case, the now incongruously titled anonymous person, anonymous was heard, along with the of her divorcing parents, arguing over the private schools, summer trips, and sleepaway camps. And one especially acrimonious point in Mr. Giuliani's case, Ms. Hanover's lawyer, Helene Brzezinski, questioned whether the mayor was using contributions from his friends at Giuliani campaign to pay for his gifts to Mrs. Nathan. We don't know how he's been paying gifts of expenses with Ms. Nathan with the gifts he gives her. Louis Young, Channel 2 News, and CBS 2 News at New York City Hall.
Of the countries that are in that region.
City Councilman Thomas B.
Rock to move to.
Nabin acknowledged yesterday that he had made calls on behalf of a building industry consultant who was at the center of corruption inquiry, but the councilman said that his efforts were not out of the ordinary and that he had never accepted the gifts of the consultant. Public Guzman has a report. I'm not doing anything for him what is different than what I would do for a constituent or a fundraiser or a friend. Mr. Agnemin said in a telephone interview referring to Ronald Latazanio, the consultant of the building industry who has pleaded guilty to the continuing corruption inquiry. I probably did more for others. Before last night, Mr. Agnemin had done interviews since allegations for service last week connected him to the inquiry by the Manhattan District Attorney's Office into corruption at buildings department. Electronic surveillance of Mr. Latanzio's phones in 1997 showed hundreds of calls between his business A&E consultant on Canal Street and Mr. Agnemin's office of counsel in Queens. Mr. Latanzio had told prosecutors that Mr. Agnemin helped him to obtain government variances and to place preferred candidates in important city jobs that oversee building permit matters in exchange. Mr. Latanzio, he offered the council members entertainment tickets and verifications and gifts means campaign contributions according to a plea agreement. Mr. Agnemin, who is a Republican leader of the council and a close ally of Mayor Rudolph W. Giuliani, and said and Mr. Latanzio did perhaps try to arrange for a free trip to Mr. Agnemin to Vermont, but the councilman said he never took the trip. I had not been to Vermont in 40 years, Mr. Agnemin said. The councilman said he has been seen in papers recently and indicated that he had been offered such a trip, although he could not confirm that his office received such an offer. People do that all the time. Mr. Agnemin said that gives often politicians, they say, would you like to do this? That's some other thing. But I turned him down. Mr. Agnemin said he had known Mr. Latanzio for a number of years and he offered to occasion had meals together and even played golf a few times. The councilman said that yesterday that he did not make telephone calls on Mr. Latanzio's behalf to the city officials to try to help Mr. Latanzio resolve complications he might have encountered. In one instance, Mr. Agnemin said he had called for the fire department to try to set up a meeting between Mr. Latanzio and a deputy commissioner. Someone did meet with him as a courtesy, but he did not get what he was looking for, Mr. Agnemin said. But the councilman who was a member of the Council's Harrison and Billets Committee and said he never pressured any city's officials to grant special land use variances for Mr. Latanzio or his clients. I don't know anything about that. He said, I have no authority to obtain a variance. I never got him any permits. The councilman yesterday said that he had spoken with Mr. Latanzio about the desire to have a friend, James Leonard Howard, the borough building commissioner in Queens. Mr. Agnemin said he requested that Giuliani administration officials put Mr. Leonard in a post. That request that was honored, but Mr. Agnemin said he saw nothing wrong with his actions as Mr. Leonard was qualified for the job. Some people introduced me to him. I met him and I recommended him, he said. Mr. Leonard was charged last year with helping to create a phony paperwork for a Queens house whose owner was a political ally and a friend of Mr. Agnemin, and Mr. Leonard has pleaded not guilty to the charges. Mr. Agnemin was the first elected to the city official in 1991 and must leave office this year because a term limit has been in line to receive the judgeship of the city court of claims. Yesterday, if he has still anticipated such an appointment, and Mr. Agnemin said that it was not a matter he has contemplated, and regardless of the news of the investigation, he said, obviously, I am not pleased with it. The City Council Standards and Ethics Committee is scheduled to meet with him this morning to examine Mr. Agnemin's actions, and all of the session will most likely be private. Pablo Guzman, CBS 2 News in Queens. The 22-year search for Ethan Pass officially ended yesterday in a Manhattan courtroom where a judge granted the father's wish and pronounced the child who disappeared when he was 6 legally dead. The search hunt for Ethan, who vanished from a city street in May 1979, took investigators in the Middle East, Germany, and Switzerland, and 29 states law authority. Patsis told the Judge Eve Permanger of the Surrogates Court, but yesterday Stuart R. Grebas, a former United States prosecutor who had investigated Ethan's disappearance since 1985, told the judge, we have information that Ethan Parks is dead. The law said that they believe that a convicted pedophile, Jose Ramos, 57, is now in jail in Pennsylvania for child molesting, sexually assaulted, and killed Ethan. At the time, Mr. Ramos lived less than a mile from Pat's Princess Street apartment. According to court papers, he acknowledged spending time with Ethan on the day he disappeared.
The question will be included on the ballot.
Stanley K. Potts, Ethan's father, pursued the creation of death because the family plans to sue Mr. Ramos for wrongful death, said his lawyer, Brian O'Dwyer, said there is not enough evidence in the case to change Mr. Ramos criminally.
To build a high-rise over it. Critics say the project should go out to bid because it's public property, but the Department of Transportation tells the Herald that it's only negotiating with Boston Properties because it has a 54 years left on a garage
In New York,
included
in Metro briefing in Brooklyn, the second trial in the killing of Amy Watkins got underway yesterday in the state Supreme Court, where prosecutors say that Felix Rodriguez, 21, acted as lookout while another man plunged a kitchen knife into Miss Watkins' back. The other man, David Jamison, 28, was sentenced this month to 25 years to life in prison for the 1995 salmon of Mr. Rodriguez. Is facing second-degree murder charges. Mr. Rodriguez's lawyer, Stephen J. Checken, said no evidence or witnesses linked this client to the killing. He suggested that Mr. Rodriguez's confession had been corrected by the police. An insurance flap has threatened to enforce thousands of New York City livery cab drivers off the road by July 1st, according to Fernando Mateo, president of the New York State Federation of Taxi Drivers.
His attorneys just lost.
But the state insurance department said yesterday that most would not lose their insurance. The problem stems from the decision last month by the Highlands Insurance Group that canceled 9,000 policies because it said the insurance agent who sold them was not authorized to do so. Meanwhile, another insurance company, Circle, canceled 2,000 policies because it said that agents should have wrong policies. They should. The insurance department ordered both companies to reinstate 7,000 of the policies. An attorney for PRG Brokers Incorporated in Franklin Square, which sold Highlands policies, said the company had authorized agent will go to court to contest Highlands cancellation. Club advocate Mark Green, who was Democratic candidate for mayor, accused Mayor Rudolph Giuliani yesterday of pressuring police officials to short-circuit the internal investigation in the shooting of Amado Diallo, contended by the mayor's public commitments to exonerate the officers involved before. Our decision not to discipline him on April 27th, as Mr. Giuliani dismissed Mr. Green's accusation. The fact that the case is long over with the fact that we are in the middle of a mayoral race, the mayor said. A high school teacher pleaded guilty yesterday to sodomize a 15-year-old female student, said Richard Brown, the Queens District Attorney. The teacher, 50-year-old Mark Weisberg, taught English at Van Buren School in 1996 when the sex act occurred over 10 months. He pleaded guilty to a third-degree sodomy as part of the deal. Judge Joseph Russell of State Supreme Court in Queens agreed to sentence Mr. Weisberg to a treatment and sex offenders program once a week for as long as necessary and 5 years probation. Mr. Weisberg will also have to surrender his teacher license. In Manhattan, 2 adults and 11 children at a public school 191 on the Upper West Side were sickened yesterday when a student discharged a canister of mace, a former tear gas. The police said the student, an 11-year-old girl in special education, reached her purse at 10:30 when she had kept the air returned, apparently by accident. The police said it was unclear why the girl carried the canister. The students, the teacher, parent were taken to St. Mary's Hospital, where they were treated for flammable downs and thrown release. In Queens, 2 gunmen fought a 32-year-old man into his home in Jackson Heights yesterday and tied the man up along with another man and 2 women inside. The police said the same sexual assault of one of the women who was 18 and fled with a determined amount of money, the police said. The police did not identify the victims and provide many details of the robbery, which happened about 5 p.m. and they described the gunman as being in the 30s. In Bristol, Connecticut, a faulty sensor caused last week's breakdown of roller coaster at Lake Combat amusement park that left riders stranded mid-ride, officials said. The roller coaster, the Zoom Ring, was not the coaster. The Boulder Dash that malfunctioned last Wednesday and struck and killed a maintenance worker. The cause of the accident was still being investigated. In the Zoom Ring incident, 26 passengers were suspended 60 feet in the air Thursday when the braking system failed. Florence Zeno, spokesman for the state fire marshal, said no one was hurt and they were late to pass safety tests. In Passaic, New Jersey, voter information of election law violations continued in Passaic in the May 8th primary, according to a court-appointed federal monitor. The monitor, Walter Timpona, former assistant United States attorney who was apparently grew out of the federal voter rights suit, said some poll workers probably refused to give out provisional ballots when ballot registration could not be confirmed. He also said that election challenges are right. Candidates shouted at voters when such challenges are not supposed to talk to the voters at all. Mr. Timpo will monitor the June 26th primary. In Newark, a federal judge yesterday ruled that the nude photographs of 2 girls aged 3 and 8 were taken and their grandmother and not pornographic and must be returned to the women. But the judge also ruled that the Montclair Police Department and the Essex County Prosecutor's Office cannot be sued for violating their free speech rights to the grandmother, Marian Rubin, 66, when they filed challenging nature charges that were later dropped. A lawyer for the county, Robert C. Scribble, called the decision a win-win situation, although they said that it appeal would have been ruled out.
Many times.
Political leaders for various factors remained deadlocked after 4 days of intensive negotiations over the conflict with ethnic Albanian rebels raising it, possibly 4 diplomats said. The international meditators might be summoned to the big day pass. The government has called a ceasefire until June 25th and the rebels have announced that until June 27th. But clashes have been seen and shouldn't be heard on the outskirts of the capital, Skopje. A top Yugoslav official said the government might withdraw a bill on covering with a United Nations War Crimes Court after the Junior Coalition Party and the Socialist People's Party of Bulgaria said it would be voting against it. Thousands of year slave laborers were sent $4,000 in checks as the first payment of the $4.5 billion German compensation fund more than a half a century after the fact, and 40 years of legal regular delay, as victims are eligible to receive up to $6,600 in cash, each dependent on their wartime circumstances.
This is a very unusual organization.
Prime Minister Ariel Sharon of Israel will meet with President Bush at the White House next week for their second face-to-face discussion since Mr. Sharon's election. Yasser Arafat, the Palestinian leader, has not arrived in Washington by the administration, but officials made it clear they had no pending plans to do so. Syria has withdrawn 6,000 troops from the Lebanese officials said ended the decades of the military presence spotted by Lebanese Christians, but Syrian troops remained elsewhere in Lebanon. Officials confirmed that they had arrested 8 people suspected of the plot to bomb the American embassy, 2 others being sought.
Is okay. Topping economic headlines this Friday.
The Bush administration took the first step towards seeking a settlement of the Milton Bill civil lawsuit against the tobacco industry. Attorney General John Ashcroft notified lawmakers that he had named a term of lawyers to explore the possibility of a settlement. The Senate began the debate on a far-reaching bill to define patients' rights, but Republicans ripped Sister Soup after saying that they needed more time to study it. The legislation, sponsored by 2 Democrats, Edward M. Kennedy of Massachusetts and John Edwards of South Carolina, and Republican John McCain of Arizona, triggered the large-scale political and lobbying war. The new Majority Leader Tom Daschle of Texas, seeking to break and impasse over the Senate organization, said he would hold votes this week on 2 Republican proposals concerning the treatment of judicial nominees.
People understand Greek yogurt is just a...
The Agriculture Department is advertising a gay and lesbian program special to help improve working conditions for gay employees. The gay rights advocates say they believe it is the first time that the administration has sought to hire someone to handle gay and lesbian issues in the federal workplace.
From law enforcement officials.
Juan Raul Garza, age 44, was executed by injection as a
In the next version of
federal penitentiary in Terre Haute, Indiana, for 3 murders, becoming a second federal inmate put on death in a week.
useless to a thief.
After a hiatus of 38 years, and the
Switches will be in about
second was Timothy McVeigh,
When you have a kill switch,
who was put to death after
something
being
you know is going to soon be a paper
acquitted and accused of
value.
participating in the Oklahoma City bombing in
system last year.
April 19, 1995.
iPhone thefts have dropped.
Andrew Douglas Barnett, 27, was convicted of felony animal cruelty for throwing a small dog near in traffic during a dispute with the owner last year in San Jose, California.
In the case,
He faces up to 3 years in prison.
continues his defense.
1 in 5 children who go online regularly is approached by strangers for sex, the study said. Yet most of the young people say they are not bothered by the message and ignore or block them, another study said.
Frankly, neither of us questions nor
An international dispute has erupted in the Ukrainian city near Poland, where workers from Yad Vashem, Israel's main Holocaust museum, chiseled fragments from a newly discovered series of the wall painted by Bruno Schultz, a Polish Jewish writer, artist, and Holocaust victim.
examine a series of Boston police officers this morning about their investigation.
In business news, the SEC brought civil fraud charges against Arthur Andreessen for fraud audits of waste management in the early to mid-1990s, and Andreessen agreed to pay a $7 million penalty, the largest ever assessed accounting firm. 6 female employees of the nation's largest private employer filed a federal lawsuit accusing of discrimination against women. The suit seeks class action status.
His father,
A Merrill Lynch status of 37
decapitated in the attack. Colono's DNA
technology stock favorites and found that even at the
till that point had been
current depressed levels and technology shares remain expensive. The findings suggest that the investor optimism that has lifted the NASDAQ 23% above its April lows may be premature. The NASDAQ ended 4.03 points higher at 1,992.66 after rising 68 points. And the Dow Jones Index closed up 10,596.67, down 0.71. Dollar 123.04 yen, down 32 yen. 10-year Treasury bond 5.23%, down 0.02%. New York Gold 273.30, up 85 cents. Crude oil 27.48 cents, down 0.07. Indicate 225, 12,574.26, down 123.53. And FDSC 105,680.40, up 880 points. In sports, Cal Ripken, age 40, of the Baltimore Ravens, who did not miss a game for more than 16 seasons, will announce his retirement, which he did. Tonight, the New York Yankees are in Detroit taking on the Detroit Tigers, while the Mets are at Shea taking on the Montreal Expos. Alright, on to the weather now with Ira Joe Fisher. Take it away, Ira. Okay, right now, current conditions at noontime reports it is 84 out in Central Park, it's 87 in LaGuardia, 79 in JFK, 85 in Newark, 86 in Teterboro, 82 in White Plains, 79 in Norwalk.
Once again, if there's a nut issue, then you can pretty much...
It is 80 in Bridgeport, 81 in New Haven, and it's 81 in Islip. Alright, let us take a look at our forecast around the nation today, and it shows very warm and humid weather will cover the large area from the southeast and our valley to southern New England there.
You want to get it dry.
And sunshine will be ample near the coast from Massachusetts to the Middle States. Clouds and thunderstorms will cover a slow-moving cool front from the interior northeast to the central Mississippi Valley, while some thunderstorms will dissipate early today in the Ohio Valley. Part thunderstorms erupting across along the front this afternoon to the north. Cool and less humid air will spread over the upper Midwest. Cold winds from the east will ascend from the sloping terrain near the eastern slopes of the central Southern Rockies and promote clouds and scattered thundershowers. Hot weather will cover most areas west of the crest of the Rockies, and a focused backup forecast Prepare your models and calculate several days in advance how atmospheric variables like temperatures and moisture may change for the important guidance for weather forecasts and government forecasts within those in the private sector. We rely on several computer models to run each state by the National Weather Service in Washington. Yesterday, as part of the tested the backup procedures and the guidance models that run every day by the National Weather Service in Washington yesterday as part of a test of the backup procedures.
Past few hours.
The computer guidance distributed a forecast that came from a model to run by the Navy and Air Force to support the global operation of the armed services. Here. Alright, let's take a look at our forecast for this afternoon. It'll be sun and clouds and warm, high about 88 degrees.
The coolest today on the Cape with readings.
And for tonight,
70s up.
main cloud and bungus skies, low about 70 degrees here. And for tomorrow, clouds and a few showers, high about 81 degrees with some showers and thunderstorms. And Friday will be dull and showery, and Saturday and Sunday damp, then brighter as still be on Saturday and brighter on Sunday.
40s, 50s.
Sunset 8:30 p.m. Sunrise tomorrow 5:25 a.m.
Another nice day.
Jupiter sets about 8:05 p.m. and Saturn sets about 6:37 p.m.
Control our
Moon sets 7:49 p.m. and next rises tomorrow 5:28 a.m. Mars sets rises at about 7:40 p.m. and Venus sets about 4:41 p.m.
will contend with sea breezes both on
Summer solstice will mark the beginning of summer will occur tomorrow morning about 3:38 a.m. And building from Montauk Point to Sandy Hook in New Jersey after 20 nautical miles, including Long Island Sound and New York Harbor. Winds from the southwest at 10 to 20 knots and visibility of 5 miles or more. And wave heights will be 1 to 2 feet in the sound and 2 to 4 feet in the ocean. There. And beaches and ocean temperatures. Sunshine will fade beyond clouds along the New England coast of cold front approaches of the Great Lakes as a thunderstorm could occur by evening, and sunshine mixed and high clouds will prevail along the middle Atlantic coast as breezes from the southwest direct very warm and more humid in our region. And that's me for the Channel 2 News at noon on this June 20th, 2001. I'm Cindy Susan. Lisa Hill will be back for the Channel 2 CBS 2 News at 4. And coming next, then Channel 2 will be The Young and Restless. We'll be back for Channel 2 News at 4. Have a good day. Bye-bye for now. Here.
Sarah Hayes asks, does it really